My mother-in-law always acted like she ran our household. She had a key, came over unannounced, rearranged my kitchen. I put up with it, until I found her name listed on my husband's lease application. For a secret apartment downtown. It's just a man cave, he told me. But when I drove there, I saw her inside, with another woman, helping her hang curtains. I knocked. She opened. I said, "Wrong address." I was looking for a husband and a spine. Then I posted the apartment's address to our family group chat. His cousin sent popcorn emojis. She's never let herself back in since. I didn't grow up thinking I'd end up in a war with my mother-in-law. I didn't even think she was the problem at first. I thought I just needed to try harder. Be kinder. Keep peace. Make it work. Her name's Connie. And if you've ever met a woman who walks into a room and makes it about her in 10 seconds flat, that's her. She doesn't ask. She announces. When she visits, it's not, "Hi, how are you?" It's, "This rug should be turned the other way." And somehow, she had a key. Aaron gave it to her before we got married. In case of emergencies, he told me. At first, I didn't question it. I thought it made sense. But then she started using it every week. Then every few days. Sometimes she'd let herself in when I was in the shower, and I'd come downstairs to find her reorganizing my pantry. Once, I came home from work and she was rearranging my kitchen drawers. I opened one and said, "Where are the spatulas?" "Oh, I moved them." "This way makes more sense," she said, like she was doing me a favor. Like it was her house. I talked to Aaron. He shrugged. That's just how she is. I asked him to talk to her. He said he would. Nothing changed. The next week she came over with cleaning supplies and said she noticed the baseboards were dusty. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. Because I was trying to be the good wife. The patient one. The understanding one. That went on for 2 years. 2 whole years of her walking in and out of my life, my kitchen, my marriage, like she had a damn right. And then I found the lease. It was a normal Thursday night. Aaron was in the shower, and I was cleaning up the living room. He left his laptop open, and I went to close it. That's when I saw the email. Subject line, "Your approved lease for 226, Main Street Unit B." I clicked. I shouldn't have. But I did. It was a new lease, signed just 2 weeks ago. And on it, 2 names, Aaron D. Miller and Connie S. Miller. My stomach dropped. My hands went cold. I checked the address twice. It wasn't close to his job. It wasn't even in our neighborhood. I waited until he came out of the shower. "What is this?" I asked, holding up his laptop. His face went blank. Then he ran a hand through his hair. "Oh. That. It's not a big deal." "Not a big deal?" "You rented a whole apartment with your mom?" He laughed. "It's just a man cave. A little space for me to decompress." She co-signed so I could get it approved faster. You know how her credit is better than mine. A man cave, with your mother? You've been going there? I asked. Yeah, sometimes after work. It's just to chill. Watch the game. I didn't believe him. Something in my gut told me he was lying. So I waited a few days. I acted normal. Then on Saturday, I said I was going out with friends. Instead, I drove to the address. It was in an older building downtown. Quiet. Clean. I parked across the street and waited. About 10 minutes later, I saw her. Connie. Holding a curtain rod. Walking into the apartment with another woman, someone I'd never seen before. This woman had a throw pillow tucked under one arm. They laughed as they walked in. I sat there in the car for a few minutes. My heart was pounding. I didn't even know what I was seeing. I got out. Walked up. Knocked on the door. She opened it. Her face went pale. "Oh. What are you?" I looked around her shoulder. The other woman was inside, standing on a chair, hanging curtains. I said, "Wrong address. I was looking for a husband and a spine." Then I turned around. Drove off. I was shaking so hard I had to pull into a Walgreens parking lot just to calm down. When I got home, I opened our family group chat. The one with Aaron's cousins, his sisters, his aunt. I dropped the address. No context. Just typed, "If you're looking for Aaron, try here. You might find his mother too." A minute later, his cousin Jackie sent a popcorn emoji. Then 3 others followed. One of his uncles responded. I didn't say anything else. I didn't need to. That night, Aaron came home and said nothing. Connie hasn't let herself back into my house since. But that was just the start. After the group chat stunt, things got quiet, for a little while. Aaron didn't bring up the apartment. He didn't apologize. He didn't even act like anything had happened. He just kept going about his days like normal. I waited. I watched. And I started planning. A week later, he came home with takeout like nothing was wrong. Sat on the couch. Flipped on the TV. I stood in the doorway of the kitchen, arms crossed. "You gonna tell me who the other woman was?" He didn't look at me. "Just someone helping out." "Helping your mother decorate your man cave?" Silence. "You know what's crazy?" I said, walking over. She looked really comfortable. Like she's been there before. He shrugged. "It's none of your business." I just nodded. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. That night, while he was asleep, I went to the apartment again. This time, I brought my phone. I waited until I saw them, Connie, Aaron, and the other woman. They were carrying a lamp inside. I recorded it. Got their faces. Their voices. Then I drove straight to Aaron's dad's house. Now, you need to know this, Aaron's parents are divorced. His dad cannot stand Connie. Thinks she's a control freak. The one thing we always bonded over was how exhausting she was. So I knocked on his door and said, "You want to see where your ex-wife is spending her weekends with your son?" He looked at me like I was crazy, until I showed him the video. "Oh, hell no," he muttered. "She didn't." "She did." That's when he told me something I wasn't ready for. "She did this same thing with her first husband," he said. "Always needed to be involved. Always needed to be in control. That's why it didn't work out. Wouldn't let him breathe." Then he looked me in the eye. "I don't know what Erin told you, but she doesn't co-sign out of the kindness of her heart. She does it to own things." Suddenly it clicked. That apartment wasn't for him. It was for her. She just used his name to lock it down. A few days later, I got proof. I pulled Aaron's credit report. The lease was not under his name alone. Connie was the primary tenant. Aaron was just a secondary signer. That changed everything. I went to a lawyer. Not to file for divorce, yet. But I needed to know my rights. Turns out, Connie had her name on a lot more than just the lease. She'd helped Aaron buy his car. Co-signed on a loan. Even had a credit card in both their names. And guess what? He never told me any of it. It wasn't just bad boundaries anymore. It was financial control. I took that info and did what I should have done a long time ago. I locked her out. Changed the locks. Put up a security camera. Left her key on her porch with a note, "You don't live here. You don't belong here. Stay out." She showed up the next day, pounding on the door. I watched her from the upstairs window. She called Aaron. He didn't pick up. She screamed. She cursed. Then she left. That night, Aaron came home furious. You embarrassed her. No, I said, she embarrassed herself. He threatened to leave. I told him, go live in your little man cave. He didn't. Instead, he started sleeping on the couch. I started sleeping better than I had in months. But I wasn't done. Not yet. 3 weeks passed, and every day felt like a silent war. Aaron and I barely spoke. He stayed glued to his phone. I kept my distance. Connie didn't show up again, but I knew she was still lurking in the background. Always watching, always waiting for her next move. Then one afternoon, I got a message from someone I never expected. It was from Rachel, Aaron's younger sister. We'd never been close. She was polite at holidays, but always a little standoffish. Now, she was reaching out. Hey. Can we talk? I know things are bad. I didn't want to get involved, but I found something you should see. She sent a screenshot. It was from Connie's Facebook, set to private. But Rachel had access. The post was 2 months old, buried behind recipe shares and political rants. The caption read, New beginnings with my favorite people, and the photo? Aaron. Connie. And the same woman I saw at the apartment. They were sitting on a couch that I now recognized, from the apartment. Smiling. Drinking wine. Decorating a wall with those tacky wooden letters that spell out family. Rachel added, she told people it was a space for her and Aaron to reset after hard weeks without distractions. She calls it their sanctuary. Sanctuary. Like I was the problem. I thanked Rachel, told her I appreciated it. She hesitated, then asked, you really think he's cheating? I didn't answer. I didn't know anymore. It didn't even feel like cheating, it felt like betrayal on a deeper level. Emotional, financial, mental. Like he'd picked his mother as his partner in life instead of me. A few days later, I got a call from our joint bank. Hi, Mrs. Miller. We're calling to confirm some recent activity. That's how I learned he withdrew $6,000. In cash. Without telling me. I confronted him that night. He didn't even flinch. I needed it. For what? Just, stuff. Doesn't matter. I pushed. He stonewalled. So I did what I always do, I looked for answers myself. Turns out, he paid for furniture. For her. A local boutique downtown confirmed it. I showed up pretending to be Connie's daughter-in-law, said we needed to match the paint swatch for the new love seat. The clerk remembered them. Aaron and Connie. Said how sweet it was that a mother and son were building a home together. Home. That's what they were doing. Building a home together. Behind my back. That's when the anger came back. But it wasn't slow this time. It was sharp. Hot. Ready to burn everything down. I started collecting. Receipts. Screenshots. Texts. Bank statements. I logged everything. I made backups. I created a folder titled Exit Strategy. Then I made one final discovery that almost knocked the breath out of me. Buried in one of our shared emails was a forwarded mortgage pre-approval. Sent by Connie to Aaron. Subject line, for our next move. It wasn't for the apartment. It was for a house. A house 2 towns over. A house I hadn't seen. A house with her name and his name only. That's when I realized they weren't just playing house. They were planning to buy one. Without me. I didn't cry. Not when I saw the mortgage papers. Not when I realized they were building a life without me. Not even when I thought about the years I gave up, trying to please a man who never saw me as his partner, just someone to keep things tidy while he and his mother played house. I didn't cry. I planned. I moved fast. I had to. First, I made copies of every document I'd collected, the lease, the bank withdrawals, the furniture receipts, the Facebook posts, the emails. I saved them in the cloud. Sent a copy to my personal email. Printed hard copies and put them in a fireproof lockbox I bought at Home Depot. Then I called the lawyer again. This time, I filed for divorce. But I didn't tell Aaron. Not yet. I waited until I could make it public. He always loved throwing backyard parties. BBQs with his cousins, Sunday football nights with friends. So I told him I wanted to make peace, try to reconnect. He looked surprised but agreed. Probably thought I was crawling back, like I was going to beg for him to choose me again. We planned a Saturday evening get-together. I told him I'd invite a few people, mostly his family. I even said I'd cook. He smiled. Thought he'd won. Saturday came. Everyone showed up. His cousins, his aunts, even Rachel, who gave me a small nod when she walked in. Connie didn't come. Aaron said she was resting. I knew better. She didn't like being around me unless she was in control. Good. I grilled the food. Served drinks. Acted like the perfect hostess. And when the sun started setting, and people settled around the fire pit, I stood up and said I wanted to toast. To family, I started. To truth. And to letting go. Aaron raised his drink. I pulled out my phone. Mirrored the screen to the Bluetooth TV on the patio. I'd set it up earlier. First came the pictures, screenshots of the lease, the mortgage application, the Facebook post with the sanctuary. Then the receipts. The bank withdrawals. The photos from the boutique store's Instagram page that showed Connie and Aaron smiling beside a brand new sofa set. Gasps. Laughter. Someone whispered, "No way." Aaron stood up. "What the hell are you doing?" I looked right at him. "I'm showing everyone what you've been doing. Since you think I don't matter." Someone in the back said, "Damn." I kept going. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I just laid it all out. How his mother had helped him sign a lease behind my back, how they'd spent thousands together, how they were planning to buy a house, all while I was sitting at home wondering why my marriage felt like a three-person tug-of-war. Then I pulled out the envelope. Handed it to him in front of everyone. "These are divorce papers. Already filed. You'll get the court date soon." He didn't say a word. Just stood there frozen. And just when it couldn't get worse for him, Rachel stood up. "I have something to say," she said. She walked over and dropped another envelope on the table. "I've been helping your wife. Because she deserves better. And because Mom tried the same thing with my fiancé before he left me. You didn't know that, did you?" The whole place went quiet. Aaron looked like he'd been hit in the chest. I turned to the crowd. "Anyone else want to raise a glass?" People laughed. A few clapped. His cousin Jackie raised her beer and said, "To the best damn exit I've ever seen." I left him standing there, alone, while the rest of them packed up and left with me. Connie showed up later that night, but the locks had been changed again. She tried to scream at the door. Tried to call him. But Aaron never moved back in. Never got to explain. I made sure his name was wiped off everything. I sold the house 6 months later and used my half to start over in a different town, a different life. And him? Last I heard, the house deal fell through. Connie tried to take out a second mortgage and defaulted. Aaron moved in with her, for real this time. No man cave. Just a 40-year-old man sleeping in his childhood bedroom. I made mistakes, waiting too long, being too polite, letting it go too far. But in the end, I fixed them. And now? I live somewhere quiet. With no surprise visits. No rearranged kitchens. And no man who needs permission from his mother to breathe. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's just the sound of a new key in your own front door.